The moment you stop caring so much, everything starts to shift. Not in a bitter, closed-off way, but in a powerful, centered way. Most men were raised to believe that expressing every emotion, being endlessly available, and wearing their heart on their sleeve is the path to a woman's heart. But that path leads to the friend zone, to being used for attention, to being ghosted. Women don't fall for men who worship them instantly. They fall for the man they can't quite figure out, the one who feels something but doesn't reveal it too fast. The man who controls his emotions instead of being controlled by them. That kind of energy makes her curious, makes her wonder, makes her chase. You see, attraction isn't built on logic, it's rooted in emotion. And nothing creates stronger emotion than uncertainty. When you're too available, when you're texting first every time, when you're reacting to her every move, she loses interest. Not because she's cruel, but because you've removed the emotional tension. There's no curiosity, no chase, no spark. You've handed her everything before she even asked for it, and deep down, she doesn't respect it. The man who doesn't need her, the man who can walk away without looking back, that man has power. Not because he plays games, but because he values himself more than her attention. And that self-value is what makes him stand out. The more you invest in yourself and detach from the need to impress her, the more she becomes intrigued. The moment she feels like she hasn't fully figured you out, she becomes emotionally engaged. That's the game most men never learn. They're too busy trying to be liked. But the man who doesn't try to be liked, he becomes unforgettable. A woman doesn't fall for the man who gives her everything up front. She falls for the man she has to work for emotionally. That's the mistake most men make. They think being overly sweet, constantly available, and emotionally open from day one will win her over. But all it does is make her feel like she already has you, and when she feels that, the chase dies. Attraction needs space to breathe, and if you smother it with validation and availability, it collapses. Emotional discipline is the edge most men lack. The ability to feel something for her, but not act on it recklessly. To want her, but not need her. That's what separates the rare man from the average one. Because in her world, every guy is offering his time, energy, and affection with no requirements. But when she meets a man who doesn't fold under her beauty, who keeps his composure when she tests him, who isn't afraid to walk away, he becomes a mystery she wants to solve. You don't win by overcommunicating or overgiving. You win by being selective, by making her earn access to your time, your attention, your vulnerability. You become valuable when you stop giving your energy away for free. Emotional discipline is knowing when to give and when to hold back, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't explain himself, and doesn't beg for affection is the man who forces her to step up. She becomes more invested, more curious, more eager because you've shown her that you're not like the rest. You're not desperate. You're deliberate. And that emotional control, that calm strength, it's magnetic. It's what makes her respect you, desire you, and see you as the man who's in charge of his emotions, not enslaved by them. Inconsistency isn't about playing games, it's about creating emotional impact. Most men go wrong by thinking that steady, predictable effort is what keeps a woman interested. But women aren't emotionally wired to respond to routine. They respond to the unknown, to the unexpected, to the highs and lows that make them feel something real. When you're always available, always texting first, always emotionally open, you become easy to figure out. And once she has you figured out, she gets bored. It's not because she's ungrateful. It's because certainty kills curiosity. And curiosity is the fuel for attraction. A woman needs to feel something unexpected. One day you're fully present, locked in, engaging. The next day, you're focused on your grind, unreachable, detached. That contrast is what keeps her emotionally on edge. Not knowing where she stands keeps her emotionally engaged. Because while comfort is nice, it doesn't make her chase. Tension does. The unpredictability of your attention, your energy, your focus, it hits her deeper than any bouquet of flowers ever could. When she doesn't know what version of you she'll get, she invests more. She leans in. She starts chasing. That's why the so-called bad boys win, not because they treat women well, but because they're emotionally inconsistent. Their silence makes her question. Their absence makes her long, and their presence becomes a reward. You don't need to be toxic to use this truth. You just need to stop being predictable. Start being focused on your mission first. Let her feel the space when you pull away. Let her notice your absence, because that emotional spike she feels when you're not around, That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what keeps her up at night. Not knowing if she has you. Not knowing if she ever truly did. And that tension is what keeps her coming back. Texting is where most men self-destruct without realizing it. The second they feel that initial connection, they start over-investing, sending long messages, double texting, replying instantly, trying to be funny, charming, and present at all times. They think that constant communication keeps the spark alive, but in reality, it drains the mystery and flips the power dynamic. When a woman sees you constantly available on her phone, she subconsciously assumes she has full access to you, and once she feels that, the emotional intrigue fades. You didn't say anything wrong, you just said too much, too fast, too easily. You gave your presence before she earned it. And in doing so, you became replaceable. The truth is, your attention is your leverage. If you give it away for free, it has no value. But if you withhold it with intention, not out of manipulation, but out of discipline, it becomes something she craves. The man who doesn't text back immediately, who isn't glued to his phone, who takes time to respond because he's genuinely focused on his life, that man communicates something far more attractive than any clever message ever could. He communicates that he's not chasing, not begging, not waiting around. And that energy forces her to lean in. Pulling back reveals everything. If she's only into the attention, she'll disappear. Good, she was never real. But if she's genuinely interested, she'll reach out. She'll start matching effort. She'll start investing. You don't need to be cold or rude. Just stop texting like a man with no options. Let silence do the talking. Let her wonder. Let her wait. Because if she's truly into you, your absence will echo louder than your presence ever did. And if she's not, then you just saved yourself from wasting time on another temporary distraction. Detachment is the ultimate advantage in the game of attraction. Not because it makes you cold, but because it makes you unshakable. When a man is detached, from outcome, from needing her validation, from fearing her rejection, he becomes powerful. He no longer operates from insecurity. He operates from self-respect. Most men walk around trying to be chosen. They chase, they prove, they please, but the man who's detached flips the dynamic. He becomes the chooser. And that shift in energy is everything. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care, it means you care more about yourself than someone else's opinion of you. It means you're not afraid to walk away. That kind of energy is rare. That's what makes a woman pause and look twice. Because in a world where men constantly orbit her, trying to win her over, you stand still. You don't move unless it's worth moving for. That's not cruelty, that's strength. That's discipline. That's the mark of a man who knows his value. When you detach, you stop overthinking, you stop chasing. You stop giving your energy to people who haven't earned it. You let her come to you. You let her invest. And when she does, it's real. Detachment creates space. And in that space, she feels tension, uncertainty, curiosity. She starts chasing not because you manipulated her, but because you didn't need her. That's what women are drawn to. The man who is whole with or without them. But don't abuse this power. Use it to elevate, not manipulate. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay disciplined. Detachment isn't a tactic. It's a mindset. It's how you protect your energy and command respect. And once you master it, you stop playing her game and she starts playing yours. From that moment on, you never chase again. Because you don't need to.